Well, Durham University has come under fire for offering training to students involved in, quote, sex work. The university has insisted that the training was important to ensure students can be safe and make informed decisions after noting an emerging trend of students selling sexual services. Well, the university's Minister Michelle Donnelly said the Russell Group University was legitimising a dangerous industry and badly failing in their duty to protect.
So, are these courses simply safeguarding students, or are they promoting prostitution? Let's talk now to Caroline Farrow, Campaign Director at Citizen Go. It's a conservative advocacy group which promotes the participation of society in politics. I'll just throw it open to you, really, I think, on this one. Where are you on this particular issue? Do you think that this is a necessary thing and people are going to get involved in sex work anyway and therefore they might as well be safe, or actually does it contribute towards promoting it?
Well, as the mother of a 17-year-old who is looking to go to university next year, it fills me with absolute horror. I think the university's minister is correct. It is a complete abrogation of duty towards students. You have to remember that, the students who, particularly next year's students and the current crop, these are 18, 19-year-old, predominantly girls who've left home for the first time. They're also additionally vulnerable in that not only are they away from home for the first time, but they've been subject to, too strict lockdown measures. So they haven't done the same amount of kind of socialising that normal teenagers or teenagers do in more normal times. And the thing is, sex work, let's call it what it is. It's prostitution. It puts you at risk of violence. It puts you at risk of stalkers. It puts you at risk of sexually transmitted infections. It actually, puts you at physical and psychological risk. Many of these girls who'll be thinking about doing this.
Caroline, the university will probably argue that actually for the very reasons that you describe about the dangers associated with the industry is the reason why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, they're saying there is an emerging trend of their students being involved in this industry. And as you rightfully mentioned, it is linked to disease and drugs and violence. And so perhaps their understanding of the duty of care and the duty of protection is to ensure that these young people that are doing this anyway are doing it in a safe way. What do you make of that?
No. I think that universities, and bear in mind, this is the Students' Union, and it shows actually a real dissonance in Students' Union because they're talking about keeping people safe. So they're encouraging people to be safe by sort of normalising sex work, but at the same time, they won't expose students to various points of view, like, for example, a pro-life point of view, because they say it's unsafe. So it shows a real dissonance. But actually, it is fine for the Student Union don't have to promote this, because what this is doing, it is normalising sex work. It is saying, OK, this is something you might want to consider to help you pay your vast university costs. And in fact, there are plenty of other jobs that students would be well versed to consider. They can do cleaning, they can do bar work, they can work in, they can wait tables, they can work in fast food restaurants, which are much more sort of normal, mainstream, and carry far, 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 far less risk. So it's fine for the student unions to actually take a moral stance, and they don't have to put this course on. And in fact,
some people argue that actually, student unions are very much taking moral stances on other issues, and that is part of the problem. I mean, the reality is, though, that sex work isn't illegal. So soliciting on the street is, and having a brothel is, but it is legal for young women or people in general to start an OnlyFans account. And therefore, even if you might disagree with it, it is something that some people think is a route that they can take. And therefore, why not raise awareness of, if you are doing something that is not illegal, you can do it in a way that's less dangerous and less risky?
I think we shouldn't confuse with what is legal with what is necessarily moral. And I think some of these laws, surrounding prostitution need updating. They were written before or drafted before the pre-internet age. But actually, what are these girls being encouraged to think about? They're being encouraged to commoditize themselves, to sexually exploit themselves. And in fact, if you're 18, 19 and you're just embarking on the adult world, you're just taking taking your place in the adult world and you're being encouraged to think about kind of selling yourself for sex, that is not going to lay down the foundation for healthy, fulfilling relationships in the future. And it's a very, very tiny minority that the Students' Union are pandering to. And in doing so, they're really undermining women and they're really putting women at risk. And they should know better.
And Caroline, I mean, what about the root cause? Maybe people would agree with you about the fact that this isn't something that universities should be training or endorsing implicitly or explicitly. But perhaps a lot of these young women or young people can't afford the cost of living on campus. They've got very high tuition fees. They might be, supporting a young child. There might be a whole range of reasons why young people are feeling like they don't have the means. So maybe we should be looking at supporting young people further economically at that developmental stage in their lives, so they don't necessarily feel like they can turn to options that you might disagree with morally and societally.
No, I would agree with that. I'd also agree. I think there is a problem at the moment in society, and that we're encouraging 50% of young people to go to university, whereas generations ago it was only like the most academically talented, and then we had a much fairer system of student grants, where people didn't have to pay these vast inflated fees for a course which is probably not going to do them an awful lot of good in the real world. We seem to be having numbers are saying that there's a huge amount of sort of overqualified students coming out of university with a degree that is probably not actually going to do them an awful lot of good in the real world. So yeah, I would agree with you, but there are other ways of earning money. When I didn't complete my degree, but when I was an undergraduate, I worked in the pub, I worked in the toy department in Debenhams, I waitressed, I've worked in fast food joints. And actually, I think people are turning to OnlyFans accounts and to the internet because they see it as a very easy way to make money, but actually they don't think about what might be. We know that young people are also far less risk averse, and they don't think about the long-term consequences. And the other thing I'll say is, you've also got a fair proportion of students. Not only have they left home for the first time, but they might have a disability like autism or ASD, which is something I'm very involved with. And if you have a very sort of vulnerable or naive student and they believe they're looking to the university and they're looking for the Students' Union for leadership, and the Students' Union are sort of saying, oh well, okay, here's something you can do to make money and here's a way that you can do it safely. Actually, prostitutional safe work or sex work, can never really be fundamentally safe. You're always going to attract.
We're going to, sorry, we're short on time. Thank you there, Caroline. A series of very good points there. I felt Caroline Farrow there, campaign director at Citizen Go, it's a conservative advocacy group. Look, there's very much two sides to this particular one, isn't there? And I think, I can see, part of me can see the side, well, exactly what you were saying, really, and also, it's anyone's right to do whatever they want, I suppose.
I actually agree with Caroline, even though I put the other perspective. I just think that universities seem to be in a crisis of knowing what their purpose is. You're there to teach students, the next generation, about truth, knowledge, and ideas, not diversity and inclusion. Or now you're training them to be or get involved in sex work or whatever it is. I just think that is not the purpose of university, and I think that's a very dangerous conflation of their role.
Yeah. How well do you think the Patrick Christie's OnlyFans account would do?
I think you've got quite a good following of people that...
Yeah, that's right. There's only one way to find out. Right, moving away.